Hello everybody. I'm going to try to finish off the line work here for this attack. Let me just play it back real quick. So it's almost done. Just a little bit has to be cleaned up. The smear frame is fine. It's only one frame. And I'm thinking about adding one more in between just to make it a little bit less stiff. Just right here. I think I'm going to like have his maybe tense up his hands a little bit more for one frame. So yeah, we'll actually add one right here. There. So just gonna sort of trace that, and then after I add that one in, I'll sort of clean everything up. So yeah, what's the topic today? I wrote down that we're gonna talk about philosophy. I think that was like kind of what I was ending with in my last video. And why philosophy? And again, remember, when I'm talking about these topics, I'm gonna like really take it slow and not compromise the focus needed for the drawing itself, because as you can see, I'm drawing things like hands and folds and clothes and stuff like that, and I guess I can kind of do these things without thinking, with minimal concentration. But you know what, actually I'm going to try to bring the hands a little bit closer together. So who knows, what if maybe I'll get so concentrated that I end up not talking about the topic at all, but we'll try. Now, I don't remember what the last video topic was about and why I wanted to talk about philosophy, but I have been listening to a lot of Bishop Robert Barron, who is a great philosopher, a great theologian, and speaks very well and very clearly about his ideas. I notice he very rarely stumbles over his words. I say and like a lot, and when I took I think it's a college requirement, right, to take some kind of speech class, and then we do various speeches. We try to do a persuasive speech. We try to do I forgot the informative speech. I forgot the names of them. And in the speech classes, we are taught, try to remove fillers. And if I were to listen to myself, I would hear a lot of the pauses, the the thinking, the things like that, filler words. But Bishop Barron, he is so well practiced with his speech, as an evangelizer. He's not just a philosopher or a theologian or a writer. He's all of those things, but he's also a priest. And coming with being a priest or being a bishop is preaching and telling the word of God to people, and he's very good at it. And it's guided by his years of study and writing and his doctoral work, and I think he has a PhD. I don't know what his PhD is, and probably I don't know, probably something like philosophy. If you can get a PhD in that, you can get a PhD in anything nowadays. Let's finish his collar right here, and we're gonna clean up this since we're doing the in between here. Just a little bit of tension building, but we're gonna keep the face, maybe move the face down a little bit, just sort of move everything down slightly. Now, I don't have that kind of practice with speech, and maybe it's something that I would like to practice while I'm doing these videos, get better at it here. Because I'm always trying to talk about the things that I'm thinking about. Am I a philosopher? Well, not professionally. I don't have a PhD in it. But I think about life, and I think about logic. And what is philosophy? As Bishop Barron describes it sometimes, it's definitely a way of knowing. It's non-scientific, right? And a lot of people will sort of scoff at it, as Bishop Barron says, because of scientism, that nowadays, because science has made so much progress in our world, and we kind of base all our decisions off the scientific method these days. And it's a great way of thinking. It's a great way of guessing things. It is a great way of knowing things, but it's not the only way of knowing things. And before the scientific method was like really popularized, and of course the scientific method is built into our brains, right? Exploration, memorization, guessing, making principled decisions based on patterns, right? and every decision ultimately is like a guess, the hypothesis. A hypothesis is a guess. You cannot derive a hypothesis, right? That's the point of a hypothesis. You kind of just feel it out. Based on what you know, based on your principles, you're like, you know what? I think this might work, so we're gonna try it out. And that's not how philosophy works. Philosophy is definitely exploration, but philosophy is a little bit more like math in that it's a way of knowing that's logical but not scientific, in the sense that it's not something that can be tested in the same way that scientific hypotheses can. And scientific hypotheses usually have to do with things in the real world. Whether it's like a broader science, like something like psychology, or something where you really get intricate and you really have your laws, like physics. And physics usually guided by principles of math. And math also is a way of knowing that is, in a way, not scientific. Math has to deal with 1 plus 1, but does 1 exist, right? Can you test 1? Like, you can, in the sense that you can observe it. You can observe 1 ball or 1 atom, but the concept of 1 is not really something that exists, right? Again, I'm not a philosopher, so I can only speak about this in a layman's term. So if there's any philosophers and theologians out there and I'm speaking imprecisely with the wrong words, or if you understand my concepts and you feel like you have the better word for it than what I can muster up, then let me know. But why? Why engage in philosophy, right? It was a way of knowing, or it is a way of knowing that preceded science and indeed set the foundations for science. We have our great philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, and before the scientific method was really refined, back then people, of course, they were doing experiments. That's, again, it's built into the human mind. It's built into our DNA, the scientific method. Even animals with their non-thinking, in the sense that, like, I think when I went to Monterey Bay Aquarium, they talked about jellyfish having neural nets. Ooh, I realize I haven't been keeping time, but I'll just end this video when I feel like it's been time. I think it's been, like, I don't know, a little bit less than 10 minutes. I'm not really sure. But anyway, they mentioned, like, the skin of ancient jellyfish has it has a neural net in it. Like, it's going to respond to certain stimuli with a program of behavior, with a program of the way it builds itself, the way it manifests its body. Yeah, that little extra frame of tension is going to be, I think, is going to help a little bit. So let's feel the timing now. Oh, wait. Did I make an extra frame? Hold on. Was there another one? Hold on. Let me delete this one, see if I can get the timing on it. I didn't draw anything here, right? Yeah. I'm going to delete this one. Move everything back. I'm not sure what that blank frame was. I'm not sure if that was a blank frame I made today or if it added another blank frame in there, but I'm just going to feel out this timing. Yeah, this is a bit better, and it looks smooth. And again, I want to be able to add some secondary animation to these, but we'll just get the keyframes first. I do like how smooth that looks. Looks like we lost the belt a little bit in these, so let's bring that back. Yeah, okay. So I haven't really talked much about philosophy and, like, the people, the actual philosophies that people talk about. Just sort of the nature of it. But why? Another topic I wanted to talk about is fasting. Because it's something I want to do, and people have I've talked to some people about this, some family members, and there was one cousin I would talk to he would talk about fasting for 2 days, 3 days, and I was like, that's sort of a weird practice to do, and I didn't know much about it, but now I know. calorie restriction is one of the only ways that's been proven to extend lifespan, right? So, of course, a lot of it is genetic, and there's a lot of preventative measures we can do to not die earlier. But as far as like something we can do to live longer, well, we can maximize our longevity. Still according to our DNA. So if we have a what is disposition, if a genetic disposition towards things like diabetes or heart disease, things like that, then it'll be more likely that we get it, regardless of what we do or eat. But having good exercise, eating your greens, having good health, having good relationships, these are all things that are proven to be healthy and live a good life. But as far as like experiments done in order to extend longevity, calorie restriction is proven. And I think I forgot what animal they tested on, some kind of monkey. And then there's I forgot the doctor's name, but there's I think Sinclair or something Sinclair. Listen to some podcasts with him. He talks about sirtuins. I know there was science done. One of the popular sciences back then was like antioxidants, right? And I'm sure you can look up a lot about antioxidants and what those do for longevity. But he was talking about sirtuins. I forgot what they are, to be honest, but I think there's something, and again, the science could be way off here. I'm not a scientist. I'm just kind of speaking off memory while I'm literally drawing anime. But from what I remember, sirtuins are things that are activated in your body when you are stressed, and one of those main things that can cause that stress is caloric restriction. I think the arm is a little bit stretched out there because, I think it's fine like this. Yeah, it's just one frame, so we don't have to be too crazy about it. And then we're losing the belt a little bit. Okay, so we'll bring the belt back right here. And then bring the belt in right here. Let's put it here on this frame first. Yeah, I think that's about right. Was it David Sinclair? I forgot his name. Maybe I forgot both names, I don't know. But he talks about he's doing like longevity research. And I have been wanting to try fasting, not only just as for longevity, but to lose weight. And what's really interesting to me, going back to the topic of philosophy and theology, in Christianity, in Buddhism, in a lot of religious practice, in Islam, fasting is a thing, and it's a spiritual thing. And in most religions, I would assume it's I know what it means in Christianity, right? And I would assume it's pretty similar in most religions. It's self-denial, denial of the flesh to master the spirit. And we learn, scientifically, it can also increase longevity. And it's interestingly very similar to if any of you familiar with Wim Hof. He's not a guy that fasts. I'm not really sure if he does any fasting, but his main thing is breathing. And the science that's been done on Wim Hof it seems to be that he's like he's the Iceman. He's climbed Mount Everest in his shorts. Crazy feats of cold tolerance, cold exposure survival. And his secret is like meditation and breathing. And I've tried the Wim Hof method of breathing, and I guess the idea behind it is that he's hyperventilating, and subjecting his body to stress, and then his body, I don't know if it's necessarily generating heat, but he's able to regulate his body temperature by doing that, and survive the cold. So it's subjecting oneself to stress, and that's kind of a whole topic we can talk about too, because that's something I've been thinking about lately too. Like purposeful subjecting oneself to stress, to challenge, is a good word for it. But really stress. You know, I've been reading a little bit of David Goggins, and he was talking about Hell Week, and I was looking up some videos on it, and I didn't realize that the Hell Week training is 4 weeks. They say 4 hours of sleep. It's not 4 hours of sleep a day. It's 4 hours of sleep for an entire week, and doing crazy exercises the entire time, and it's just nutty. And it's honestly a little bit inspiring that people can talk about this and do it. And I watched a little bit of the training myself, just small clips of it, but without wanting to spend too much time on YouTube, I am interested in like a little bit more about what these guys were doing and how much they sacrificed, and what kind of resilience they need to get through that kind of training. Just just really insane. Insane. The word insane is not an exaggeration at all. Just really insane level of training. Okay, so this looks fine. I don't think it's over animated. I think the smoothness is actually quite nice. Yeah, I think we have to have a little bit of secondary animation to make this look good, because the way it stops is like really stiff, and I think it would be nice if like his pants or shirt and hair kind of react to the movement. So, but we'll do that later, because we have enough for the animation already. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the white silhouette in there, and then we'll stop the video there, and we'll get to the electricity part. After that, we'll start to add the electric effects. So all we're going to do here is get in there and start doing our white silhouette. And we're going to get rid of the onion skin for now. And what was he using? Studio Pen for this? I don't quite remember. Oh. Okay, so we're going to... Oh yeah, it wasn't a new layer, it was a copy of the layer, so we're gonna duplicate here. And then underneath here, we're gonna get the borders. And then just get some... Yeah, not the cleanest this frame here, but I think it's okay. Again, it's only there for one frame, so I think it's okay if it kind of looks like that. Is that enough for a color drop? Nope. Oh yeah, I forgot, in Procreate you can set the threshold for color drop. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that one has too big of a hole. Yeah, so what are we talking about, folks? Fasting. I want to try some more fasting. So for me, it would be both in a spiritual sense and a physical sense. I do want to access, the health benefits that can come with fasting, but just the idea of self-denial for spiritual mastery. And again, in many religions, this is a practice that's done. And also because am I a glutton? Like, I think a lot about the 7 deadly sins, right? Gluttony being a big one. And, I never considered myself, like, quote unquote, fat, but I have been, like, technically, like, BMI overweight. And I'm not right now, but it's something that has concerned me in the past. And concerns me in the sense that I need to be watching what I eat anyway. And I am the type of person, like, if the cookie is there, if the cookie is exposed, I will grab it. And it's just not something, I have addressed, through a 12-step program, through a lot of prayer, through like some brute force methods, through accountability, through like realizing my character defects, as we call them, and working on them. I've cut out like some pretty bad habits in my life. But in that search, like, when we talk about our own character defects and eliminating all of them, like, once you've eliminated one, you start to realize what does it take to eliminate them and replace them with like more virtuous actions. And in this process, it's been like a sort of a year of recovery for me. I've started to find more. And that's just something that happens. You find more because you start really enjoying the process. The elimination of bad habits, of vice, really. And so I've noticed in my life that I'm the type of guy to grab the cookie out of the cookie jar and it's something I want to stop, and it's something I want to have more self-control over. And so what would be the ideal thing? I don't need to fast into oblivion where I fast for like 5 days or whatever. I think I should ease into that. I don't want to die, and I want to be able to work still. But can I do a full 8-9 hour shift on an empty stomach? I believe that I can. I've done something similar before. Can I do it at home? When my main obligation is to my family, and I can serve them while not eating at home, and it saves money, it saves time. Not like the practical applications of fasting are there for me. Hold on. Okay, there, right at the edge. Yeah, okay. But the spiritual aspect of it too is what I'm really interested in. Again, one of my spiritual directors told me, make your spiritual life your foundation. You can't just only pray, but if prayer is your foundation, it sort of defines who you are, the things that you're praying for, and maybe God will answer those prayers. Maybe He will answer them. But if I pray for like something like transformation of self, is that, even for you non-believers, it's like that's something that is a good thing to really meditate on, because it starts filling your mind. So whether or not you believe a God is going to be answering these prayers, for me to really want to connect with my spiritual life and ask my God to help me, I think there's a noble effort there, and just meditating on it is it's already transformative. Dr. Andrew Huberman, he has a podcast, and he talks about how thinking about things is already transformative, because the brain is a muscle, and you're already practicing certain ideas in your brain, and you're conditioning your brain already. So the physiological aspect is there. Again, physiological always connected to the spiritual. And maybe that could be something for another topic in another video, like what is the spiritual? What does that even mean? Again, I'm not a teacher of philosophy. I don't have a doctorate. I'm not a priest. I'm not a theologian professionally. I'm a layman that thinks about these things while working on layman stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy listening to my random musings while I'm drawing. I'm just gonna finish this silhouette here. I might as well finish the whole thing here. Get to this last frame here, finish the silhouette, so I can keep hanging out with you guys. This video is going to be a little bit longer than usual. Yeah. And we'll just maybe finish out our thoughts. Maybe we'll just explore that topic now. What is the spiritual? Because I talk about how fasting has an effect on both the spiritual and the physical. And one great way of describing this for me is how people call wine a spirit, right? That's, keep your spirits up, right? And you can do that by drinking wine, by making merry. And wine, we know that alcohol is I really don't like alcohol, to be honest. I drink beer, I drink wine from time to time on celebratory occasions. Your spirit is, it can be described many ways. It's sort of a vague word, isn't it? I probably need to look into the Catechism of the Catholic Church, because I know even the Catholic Church might even delineate like what is the difference between a spirit and a soul. I think those are two different things. But again, these are such vague words, especially for normal people. I guess is there. What should I say? What do I mean by normal people? Not everybody's Christian, and I know the Catechism of the Catholic Church has a certain way of describing them, and as a Catholic, I should probably read it and figure out how to describe these properly. But let me, again, as a layman, try to explain the spiritual. And it's interesting because as a layman, I have, I guess, a scientific or a naturalistic way, not of explaining it, but using an analogy of sorts. So one of my one really interesting topic to me is called there's a scientist named Stephen Wolfram. He studies a new kind of science, and he talks about how simple rules, even if you're following simple rules, like in a sequential, like something like the Fibonacci sequence, like something sequential, following a simple rule. Now the Fibonacci sequence creates a beautiful pattern, the golden ratio, etc. But there's something called Rule 30, which is one of Stephen Wolfram's rules, kind of like it's a sequential rule, kind of like the Fibonacci sequence, using cellular automata, these little black and white pixels. And if you follow that rule, even if it's a very simple rule, you do get infinite chaos and complexity. And he believes that the universe, which is probably running on simple rules, carries that infinite chaos and complexity. And within that complexity, you can find order, because apparently Rule 30, and this is something fascinating to me that I just do not understand at all. Apparently Rule 30, like a programming language, is Turing complete. Turing complete meaning you can build Minecraft in Minecraft. You can build self-similarity. It means that no, those are just properties of being Turing complete. But Turing complete means it's a programming language that is infinitely complex and can if any system is Turing complete, it can do the same level of computation as any other Turing complete system. You get access to all the logic gates. I'm not very good at describing this, right? I'm not a computer science major either. It's funny, like, being able to talk about these things that have always been curious topics to me as a layman in each of these fields. And will I always be a layman? Probably. I'm getting my degree in accounting, because I want to stick to the practical. I'm going to probably file people's taxes or help businesses out or whatever. Be a CPA and be a tax preparer, for me, that's like, I guess not an quote unquote easy path, but a stable path. So I want to have that foundation first. So am I always going to keep exploring these topics of philosophy and deep thinking? I think so, because they're interesting. But unless I'm a teacher, that's something I've told myself, unless I'm professionally a teacher, I probably am not going to be able to explain or make a dissertation about these things at full depth. But you can hear the musings of a curious layman, and that's who I am. That's who it's going to be. So here we're going to do our final little silhouette here before I stop the video and move on to the different project. But let's duplicate this. After this, we should have all the silhouettes. Oh, no, wait. We have to do the recovery frames for the electric attacks too. So after I do these silhouettes, we're going to do the recovery frame. So that'll be our next task for finishing these off. Once I have the recovery frames, I'll do the electric effects. Oh, no, maybe I'll do the electric effect first. Yeah, I have time to do both. Recovery frames, electric effects. And then, if I have time within my 10 hours that I've committed to this project, to these initial frames here, if we have extra time, we'll do the, what do you call it? The secondary animation. So this is a longer video here, but I'm trying not to rush a process. I'm just going to go around the whole thing and do our color drop. So a lot of things that I talked about just now: philosophy, fasting, what is spirit, what is the spirit, what is spirituality. Oh yeah, I was in the middle of talking about that. So what is it? Why was I talking about a new kind of science? Why was I talking about Rule 30? Well, I almost think of a spirit like a program. Like, the thing is, Rule 30 requires time steps. Any sequential computation requires time steps. And I think that a spirit is something that kind of like transcends time. So the human spirit, if we want to, again, we're talking about very vague non-scientific concepts, but the human spirit might have a will, and that will can you know, it again goes beyond time, and yeah, how do I describe this? The ship of Theseus, right? It's a thought experiment from ancient Greece. Is like if you have a ship and you've done so many repairs on it that you've end up replacing the entire ship with different parts, but it has the same blueprint. It's probably better than it was because you've replaced the parts as new. But is it the same ship? I would say yes. You know, of course, like I have not really explored the great philosophical exploration of the ship of Theseus, but in my mind, it's the same ship in the sense that your body, with its DNA, with its blueprint, is reconstructing itself every few weeks. Is it the same body? To me, yeah, it is. Right. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about and think about. You have my definitive answer to the ship of Theseus. But we'll just check this out now. Now we have the white silhouette. That looks great. And we will move on later. This has been a longer video, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it. God bless. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.